It's a giant leap from South America to South Africa, but the Grand Prix world has done it, and here we are, 6,000 feet up in the Transvaal at Kyalami, waiting to see to what extent, if any, the controversial fuel regulations are going to be affected by the altitude here. Well, there's a lot of work being done since Brazil, and we'll know very soon, because after practice with the drivers on the grid, the position is indeed interesting with the race about to start.
Nelson Piquet is in pole position on the grid with a searing lap in 64.9 seconds, which is some 3.5 seconds inside the lap record and a speed of 142.3 miles an hour. Keke Rosberg second fastest, with Nigel Mansell a superb third, Patrick Tambay fourth, Prost and Farby fifth and sixth, De Angelis and Lauda seventh and eighth, and Derek Warwick ninth. The Ferraris, though, have really blown it, with Alboreto and Arnoux 10th and 15th. But both Jonathan Palmer and Martin Brundle have qualified. And after Ghinzani crashed in this morning's warm-up, and he's okay incidentally, Thierry Boutsen is being allowed to start. So all four British drivers are in, but it's anybody's guess how many of the 26 starters will finish.
That's Alain Prost being pushed to one side, or is it a spare car? It's empty anyway, so what is going on with... Well, he's vacated his grid position. And I do hope that he's going to be all right.
But what a tragic start of the race for Alain Prost. I remind you that he is leading the World Championship of 1984 after his victory in Brazil, and was starting off in a very confident mood this morning. Now, also, those of you who follow motor racing, they remember that the same thing happened to John Watson here last year, and he actually made a terrible mistake and joined the grid in the position he was supposed to be in, had he in the qualifying terms, rather than at the back of the grid. This is the second Grand Prix of 1984, and it's the second Grand Prix where the start has been delayed. Because in Brazil, Andrea de Cesaris had that broken gear linkage and sat in his car waving his arms furiously, as a result of which the race was restarted, started some 25 minutes after it should have been, with de Cesaris starting from the pit lane. And Alain Prost must obviously be very unhappy. Obviously, neither James nor I have got the remotest idea what's wrong with his car. It was something that developed while he was sitting on the line, waiting for the lights to be changed by Derek Ongaro, the official starter. And it's probable now, of course, that we will have a lap less in the race as Nigel Mansell sits in his car in third position on the grid. And you look down on the grid with Alain Prost sitting patiently in the pit lane, waiting to join this 75 lap now, I reckon, race. Piquet in the foreground, and he's left again at the start. Piquet, as in Brazil, is left at the start, but not nearly so badly, and as the Brabhams come through into second place, but as they come down to the right-hander at Crowthorne, it's Keke Rosberg leaving as Alain Prost gets away from the pit lane, and you can see now the gap between Alain Prost, the Brazil Grand Prix winner, and the pack, which is making its way round Barbecue Bend, down to the Yuntskai sweep on lap 1, onto Sunset Bend, the right-hander, and it is Rosberg leading. Piquet is in second, Farby is third, Lauda is fourth, Warwick or Tambay is in fifth position, and then the other Renault immediately behind it. Then it's Nigel Mansell in seventh place in the JPS, followed by Jacques Lafitte in the Williams, and here they come through the S's. It's Rosberg, it is Piquet, it is Farby, first, second and third, Lauda in fourth, in fifth it's Warwick, then it's Tambay, there is Patrick Tambay in sixth position. They now round the right-hander at Crowthorne, one of the slowest corners on the course, up to the kink, and Piquet, after that poor start, is right up with the leader, Rosberg.
Yes, and I think he's going to sweep past Rosberg. Yes, he's pulled out of the tow, and Piquet takes the lead as expected, and Farby's having a look. Well, Piquet's made quite a recovery after that absolutely appalling start that he made, his second one running, because he made a mess up of it in Brazil, but it didn't take him long to get back on top. one of the Lotuses also was having trouble picking up and getting away. I think it was Mansell, but he's recovered and has got going, and he was causing a bit of fun as they pulled away at the start. Now, the thing is, Rosberg, we're not expecting to be very fast in race form. He was wonderfully fast in qualifying, but he's the odd man out of this leading group. He's the only runner there on Goodyear tyres, that top half dozen or so, and the Goodyear race tyre has not shown up as well here as the Michelin ones. They haven't been so quick, and they've generally been in a bit of trouble. So Rosberg will be fighting at something of a disadvantage out there and holding them up probably.
Yes, it looks to me as though there's a bit of a traffic jam behind Kiki Rosberg with Teo Farby third. There is Lauda in fourth position. In fifth place it is Derek Warwick. Sixth it is Torbay. Seventh it is Mansell. 2 laps completed and Farby goes through. The Brabhams are stunningly fast on this section of the course. Teo Farby, that's his skid things on the underside of the car, making sparks.
Yes, the cars are running, of course, absolutely chocker full of fuel, so they're very heavy at the moment, and they do have, as Murray says, proper skid plates on the bottom to protect the rest of the chassis, but there seems to be an awful lot of bottoming going on at the moment. So Piquet will be well pleased to see Rosberg still creating a little bit of a breather for him behind, with only his teammate passed so far. And Lauda doesn't look so fast on the straight. I think he may have a little bit more trouble than the Brabham, who is quite exceptional, but he's got more grip, and I think he's going to try. No, well, he was having a good look, but he will be keen to get past Rosberg as soon as possible. He obviously isn't confident he can do it on the straight, otherwise he wouldn't have been bothering to try then. And of course, he's also got the Renaults breathing down his neck, so at the moment Niki Lauda's got his hands very full.
The 2 Brabhams lead. Rosberg still third, Lauda fourth. There is Derek Warwick in fifth position, followed by Torbay in sixth place. It's Elio De Angelis seventh, then it's Alboreto eighth, and Lafitte ninth. And Lauda's going through and taking Rosberg as the skid plates of Farby's Brabham hit the deck. Now is Niki Lauda, who has fought his way past the comparatively slow in terms of the first 3 Williams Honda, going to be able to close the gap on his slightly softer tyres on Nelson Piquet, the race leader, and Piquet's teammate Teo Farby, who is sharing his time between Grand Prix racing and kart, spelled with a C, racing in America. It's significant that the Goodyear tyres are all radials in this race. This is the first year that the company has gone on to radial tyres, and they have been extremely quick in practice. And there goes Lauda taking second place. Niki Lauda is taking Teo Farby on this, the 10th lap. So the order now is Piquet and then Lauda.
And Farby almost getting back at Lauda. Lauda came past him so early on the straight, but he's held on. So Lauda confirms, as it were, his second place. I think Farby may have made a little mistake out of the hairpin onto the straight, because Lauda gobbled him up under acceleration then. But Lauda will be well pleased. Now he's got the man he really wants to get at in his sights, and he can start having a go. Maybe Farby's in trouble, actually. Farby's dropping back so fast, I think maybe his engine's lost a bit of power.
The veteran of Grand Prix racing, number 8, Niki Lauda, 35 years old, world champion as long ago as 1975, then again in 1977, after that dreadful accident he had in 1976. Now there's Piquet, there is Lauda. The gap when I last took it was 3.7 seconds, and as James says, it's a quite significant gap between the Austrians, there he is, and Teo Farby, the young Italian, in third position. And now you see the gap between, on the right, Nelson Piquet, the leader, and following him in the red and white McLaren, Niki Lauda. 16 years of Grand Prix driving, and this is with, and it's Teo Farby's coming into the pits, is he? Yes, Farby on lap 12 into the pits, and that will certainly not be for a tyre change, although they may change them. He's obviously in trouble with his turbo flaming. That doesn't mean to say the car's on fire. Now, I've started my stopwatch, and we'll see they were doing a pit stop in 8 seconds or so this morning when they were practicing, the Brabham team, superbly drilled, and my goodness, they've done it again. The positions at the present moment on the 14th lap, leading Piquet, second Lauda, third Rosberg, fourth Warwick, there is Warwick, fifth Torbay, there he is, 6th is De Angelis, 7th is Michele Alboreto, and then it's Jacques Lafitte and René Arnoux in the second of the Ferraris, who went very well in the warm-up, is climbing up through the field, and the Frenchman is now in 9th position. They're coming up to Stefan Beloff in the second of the two Tyrrells in 19th place ahead of Martin Brundle, who is 20th and has already been lapped by Piquet, the leader in the Brabham, and Lauda second in the Marlboro McLaren. Farby has been into the pits again, and Alain Prost in the second McLaren is up to 8th position now. As Piquet goes through on the inside past Beloff, so does Lauda over the crest. Now they're doing 200 miles an hour as they come down to Crowthorne, and again Niki Lauda runs wide. Again Nelson Piquet cuts in, and they'll go through the twisty bit with Piquet leading, Lauda second.
Yes, it's a very clear demonstration of the power and aerodynamic advantages that the Brabham has got. There's no doubt that the Brabham is the slipperiest of top-line cars in the business. That's always been a speciality of Gordon Murray's, to make very aerodynamically effective cars. But he's also obviously got a power advantage as well, because you could see him pulling away under acceleration. So now you see that Niki knows what he's got to do. He's working hard to make his move here, but this is too late. You see, he's got to do it early in the lap too, so that by the time he gets to the straight, because he's going to need 50 yards to hold off Piquet down the straight. So there's no point in trying here, last corner. He's just got to keep as close as he can until and try and force Nelson into some sort of an error. But Nelson also will know the advantage he's got, and is therefore very unlikely to make an error, and he's putting an arm up. Maybe he's going into the pits. I think Nelson's going in for tires, probably. Yes, he is. Nelson into the pits.
And Niki Lauda takes the lead in the South African Grand Prix, and we will be able to see how Nelson Piquet's pit stop compares with that of Theo Farby. Stop and start the stopwatch. And it's absolutely critical now that they get these wheels changed quickly. The McLaren team have been practicing, and we don't know whether they are going to bring Niki Lauda and later Alain Prost in, and that was 11.5 seconds according to my timing. Slower than that of Theo Farby, who, by the way, has been into the pit for a second time. And Niki Lauda, look, that's an indication of how quick he is, because he's joining with Derek Warwick, who's in 4th position, just with Elio De Angelis now ahead in 5th place that was. And the gap with Niki Lauda in the lead is 26.7 seconds. And down to Crowthorne they come. Rosberg in second position, Warwick third, Piquet fourth, Torbay fifth, De Angelis sixth, then Prost seventh, Alboreto eighth, and Jacques Lafitte in 9th place. And one of the best packed scraps we've seen in a Grand Prix for a long, long time, going on behind Niki Lauda, who's nearly half a minute ahead now, and could easily come into the pits, change his tyres if he had to, but we don't know whether he will. Right at the back as Piquet comes through and passes Warwick and moves up into 3rd position. Now he has got Rosberg, so it's Rosberg 2nd, Piquet 3rd, Warwick 4th. Look through the picture, it's Torbay 5th, and behind Torbay is De Angelis in 7th position, and right with De Angelis is Alain Prost, who is gaining hand over 5th, and we are now on lap 25 out of 76 as we look at Nelson Piquet absolutely rocketing through the field with his, what he calls Bavarian horsepower from the BMW engine. See him pulling away now from the Williams Honda of Keke Rosberg, who is in 3rd position, and Derek Warwick, who is in 4th. Those two together.
Yes, and Alain Prost finally managed to struggle past the Lotus at the end of the straight end, so look, he's been stuck there for some little while, but a really electrifying scrap going on there. You see now there's Prost, now he's attacking Tambay, and he's got a bit of a problem of not being super fast on the straight as well, and Piquet having worked his way very easily through that group because of his prodigious straight line speed advantage. Is now pulling well away. Derek Warwick still hasn't got the legs on the straight to do anything about Rosberg in his Williams Honda. Now, can he like Lauda, should be looking for a way past around the back of the circuit somewhere. He must be beginning to get a bit frustrated. As I said before, he's running a harder compound than any of the other Michelin runners, and I think that although they hoped they could possibly go the distance without a stop, I think that's pretty unlikely. Things seem to be fairly hard on tires. Piquet's pit stop was claimed, the news we had from the Brabham pit, to be routine. It was quite early for a routine stop, but then of course the tyres do get a harder job at the beginning of the race because of the extra heavy fuel load, and after sort of 25 laps that was quite substantially light. So a third of it has gone, over a third.
Martin Brundle being lapped for the second time by Piquet. There's the battle for third between Rosberg and Warwick in the Williams Honda and the Renault. And see now, in fifth position, it's Alain Prost. What an incredible drive this Frenchman, 29-year-old Alain Prost, is having, because he's up into fifth position, and it's not going to be very long before he's forced his way past, first of all, the Renault, and then the Williams Honda, I think, in which case he will be in third position, in which case the McLarens will be first and third. This is Piquet touring in. Is it Nelson Piquet on the straight? It's definitely a Brabham. It is. It's Nelson Piquet on lap 30. Trouble for the Brazilian, the world champion, who has no points because he failed to score in Brazil. What has happened to the Brabham BMW as Nelson Piquet goes into the pits? The man who led for a long time in this race until caught and passed on lap 21 by Niki Lauda. And so Piquet, in that terrific second position that was, comes into the pits, and now we must watch and see what action the Brazilian takes if the seat belts come undone. Gordon Murray crouches down beside him, and there's obviously a major problem from the discussion and consultation that goes on, and it's something at the left rear of the car, and Nelson Piquet retires on lap 31. Lauda leads, Rosberg second, Warwick third, Prost is now in fourth position, Elio De Angelis is fifth, and in sixth position it is Patrick Tambay, followed in seventh position by Michele Alboreto.
Well, my only guess of Piquet's trouble could be turbocharger problems. They were not expecting, but suspicious that their turbochargers might not go the distance, and we do know that Fabi was put out with the stated reason that he had no boost, which of course is a turbocharger connected disease.
Prost, number 7, from Saint-Croix into the pits again. My goodness, this is an unbelievable race. Alain Prost, who went into the pits to start the race, comes into the pits now. Is this a routine pit stop? Indeed it is. Alain Prost then having a tyre change, and it was by no means certain that he was going to, but if they did do that, Ron Dennis told me, Prost gets away 13.1 seconds, and in the background is Patrick Tambay. So there's going to be a big reshuffle now of places in the top 6 as Tambay comes out of the pits with Alain Prost, and at the end of the 32nd lap in this 76th lap race, as we looked at Niki Lauda, Lauda is leading, Rosberg in second place, and up into third position has come Michele Alboreto in the Ferrari.
Lauda's coming into the pit. He's routine stop for Niki Lauda, we think. Yes, there we are. Sorry, driving the watch. He won't want to be stationary for more than 10 seconds. He'll be happy with anything under 10 seconds. He's comfortable lead. Any dramas? All seems to be going well. Yes, a good one, 10 seconds. He's giving a bit of a wheel spin, getting out of the pit. Now, yes, I'm looking down the straight, and he's well clear, and he's still come out with a very healthy lead indeed.
Yes, as Lauda goes into Crowthorne, the battle for second places emerges from the kink, and the gap between Lauda and Rosberg now is 10 seconds after, that is, he has completed his pit stop. Now he's going to be going a bit slow on this lap, which is the 35th, because he's on cold tyres. I don't think that the McLaren team have any way of heating them, although it's pretty hot here at Kyalami. It's about 25 degrees, so it's not nearly as bad as it would be at some of the European circuits in terms of getting the rubber warm and giving it the maximum grip on the circuit. But nevertheless, Nicky will have to go carefully. He's closing up on Ayrton Senna, the Brazilian in the Tolman, as they come up to Leo Cop, and Lauda is coming through to complete his 35th lap, which is not very far off half distance. And this race is definitely, we are now told, over 75 laps and not the scheduled 76, and that of course is due to the aborted start. 4 different makes of car in the first 4 places. The lead, the McLaren of Niki Lauda. In second place, the Williams Honda that you look at now of Keke Rosberg. Third, the Renault of Warwick, who's really crowding the ex-world champion now. And in 4th position, and Elio De Angelis is right with the 2 in front of him in the JPS, and Lafitte behind in 5th place. And there goes into the pits Derek Warwick, sure enough. Now, Rosberg into the pits. Now let's take a time on this. Keke Rosberg, who was second, has allowed Derek Warwick to go through into second place. Starts the stopwatch. And the fastest one we've had so far is of the order of 9 seconds. And it's so very often the left rear that causes trouble. That's clear. And out. And he's almost stalled it. Keke Rosberg having trouble getting away. That would have lost him a lot of time. That could well be critical. And there's another tyre change going on there as the Finn blasts out of the pits. And that means to say now that Niki Lauda is leading. Warwick is second. De Angelis is third. In 4th position, it is Jacques Lafitte in the second of the 2 Williams. And in 5th position, it is Michele Alboreto. 6th is Rene Arnoux. And there is Keke Rosberg now frantically scurrying through the field. Clear track in front of him. He's lost time, more time than he should have on that pit stop. But no matter how you practice, first of all, and there's been a lot of practice this morning, first of all, you haven't got the adrenaline of the occasion to make you make mistakes, and things get hot, and there is Warwick into the pit. So that's the new second place man who only held that second place for 1 lap, and he's in for new time.
Yes, critical for Derek Warwick to get away, and they've certainly made a very good stop. So, all things being equal, he should get back on the road comfortably in front of his Achilles heel of the day, which has been Keke Rosberg, behind whom he's been stuck for the whole race. And I can't even see Rosberg here, and Rosberg just passing the pits now. So Derek is well clear of him, and that should, when everybody's stopped, leave him in a clear second place.
And into the pits now comes De Angelis with in 4th place Alain Prost. In 5th position it is Mansell, and in 6th place Patrick Tambay. Behind Patrick Tambay is Derek Warwick, of course, who's made his pit stop, and there is some major problem. Nigel, his mechanic, is taking the part of the, not the side pod, the whole of the top cover comes off Elio De Angelis, and the Italians' race must, to all intents and purposes, be run, as we look now at Alain Prost, who is in 3rd place, catching Jacques Lafitte. You now look at the battle for 3rd position between Jacques Lafitte in the Williams Honda, who is in 2nd position, with Prost behind him in 3rd place, and very soon, I prophesy, it is going to be Barbara McLaren in 1st and 2nd places, Lauda leading. Prost is in 3rd place at the moment, but I think he's not going to be there for very much longer unless the wily racecraft veteran Jacques Lafitte can keep him back, and how hard he will be trying as they come up to Leocop. And this is where Prost may, if he stays as close to Lafitte as he is now, be able to pull out of the Finn slipstream and go through and take 2nd place, and he does it. Alain Prost is through into 2nd place on lap 44 with Niki Lauda leading. and Derek Warwick in the yellow and white Renault. Number 16 in the blue helmet with the blue winglets behind him to the side of his wing is definitely catching Alboreto. It's Lauda, Prost, Lafitte, Alboreto in 4th position, Warwick in 5th place. This is the beginning of lap 50. Now watch Warwick. Alboreto, of course, knows he's there. You can see him big in his wing mirrors. Round the right-hander at Barbecue Bend. That's 155 miles an hour. On to the Sky Sweep in top gear, approaching 180 miles an hour. Breakdown to 4th gear for Sunset, and Warwick comes up and shows Alboreto the nose of his Renault. Just a reminder that he's still there. Sunset.
Warwick's trying very hard, but of course, as far as I know, Alboreto hasn't yet made a tire stop. I imagine he would be doing that, in which case I would have thought it would be coming pretty soon. So the battle could be resolved that way, although I don't think he'll be able to stand this sort of pressure from Warwick on now quite fresh tyres, which is an advantage at this stage when he's been out there soldiering around on what are now fairly worn tyres. But the Ferrari is quick on the straight again, and Warwick is closer, better pace than he was the last lap, and in fact he's ducked out of the toe. Will he be able to stay there for speed? Well, they're absolutely side by side, and Warwick has the inside of the corner at the end of the straight, so that is that battle resolved, I would say. Oh, Alboreto's leaning on him. Well, dear, oh dear, they were absolutely side by side at the end of the braking area, but close there it was. Warwick has got it, and he now, I expect, will drive pretty rapidly away from Michele Alboreto.
And that's Mansell out of the race. Nigel Mansell retires for a reason that I don't know on lap 54. And we look here at the Marlboro McLaren of the great Niki Lauda, certainly, and that is the Williams Honda out of the race. We think it's Rosberg's car. Well, we'll have to take a check on that on the lap chart. And there is Patrick Head, the Williams Honda designer, who is obviously looking at the television monitor and worried about his car. He will know, of course. And now, yes, it's Keke Rosberg. There's Lauda, out of Clubhouse, into the S's, 3rd gear, about 135 miles an hour, exit in 4th, back into 2nd gear for Leo Cox. And he's coming through now to complete lap 57 in this race of ever-changing fortunes.
Warwick's possibly coming into the pit. I just saw a Renault coming in there. More tyres. So that's Warwick in for more tyres. And that was, I was just actually timing the gap on him and the feet, but of course now it'll be a very big gap indeed. So that's 2 tyre stops Warwick has had to make. That'll be a great disappointment for him because he's been going so very well in this race, and it just shows you how critical these choices of tyres are, and how careful the drivers have to be too when they're new, not to overheat them.
And that is Lafitte, the second of the 2 Williams Honda cars out of the race. We've seen Keke Rosberg go out, now we see Jacques Lafitte go out, who was in 3rd position. Well, we haven't seen a lot of Niki Lauda. We're deservedly and rightly seeing it now in this race because he has been... I said earlier on that Piquet was in a class of his own, and so he was at the time when he was leading so convincingly. But now Niki Lauda is most certainly of the remaining runners very much in a class of his own. And look at the battle between Alboreto and Warwick dodging about from side to side of the Ferrari, with Alboreto just holding his line as they go into Crowthorne, having braked from some 200 miles an hour. And the yellow flags are waving. There's trouble somewhere. There's dust in the background. Somebody's gone off, and there is the car. It's the Tyrrell. It's Beloff. There's Beloff walking away in the striped helmet in front of the 2 marshals.
The worrying thing is there that Derek Warwick passed Alboreto coming out of the corner under a yellow flag situation. Now here we see, he went off behind him, so that, I think, crikey, look at that, that's Beloff. So but how effective that earth is in slowing the car down, because he didn't actually reach 100%.
So we are going to have the incredible situation at the end of this race, provided Niki Lauda keeps going, of the great Austrian having lapped everybody in the race except his own teammate. He's about to catch and pass number 15, Patrick Torbay, who is ahead of his teammate, Derek Warwick, who is fourth. Then the Ferrari of Michele Alboreto, fifth, and the Alfa Romeo of Riccardo Patrese in sixth position. And that, my goodness, that's Torbay's car stopping.
I think he might be out of fuel, it looks like, because it sort of seems to be stopping and starting. And so that puts Derek Warwick back up into third place again, despite having to have two tire stops. That's Warwick, that's going apparently healthily. But it's a little bit early days to expect people to start running out. And there he is, and he's conked out completely. He's actually on the track, which is the most unfortunate place to conk out. They'll push it away, though.
And there is Alboreto out. The decay is now really getting into the South African Grand Prix. The man who was in fourth position is out of the race to join the previous retirees. That is to say, Beloff, Lafitte, Rosberg, Mansell, Piquet, and the rest of them. The prospective winner, Niki Lauda, is on his last lap now, and only the cruelest of fates would deny him his 20th Grand Prix victory after an absolutely magnificent drive from flag to flag. He drove his way through the field past Teo Fabi at the time when Lauda was in third position, took second, then set about Piquet and got ahead of him, and he has stayed ahead all the time, including his pit stop. He is through the S's for the last time. He is up to Leo Cop for the last time. He will come up to the straight, approaching the King for the last time, and now he is up to about 155 miles an hour ahead of Derek Warwick, looking in his mirrors. And the great Austrian, Niki Lauda, wins the South African Grand Prix in superb style, his 20th Grand Prix win, and that gives him 9 points. An intriguing and exciting South African Grand Prix victory for Niki Lauda, second Alain Prost, third Derek Warwick, fourth Riccardo Patrese, fifth Andreas de Cesaris, and the first World Championship point for sixth place to Ayrton Senna. The World Championship now sees Alain Prost leading his teammate Niki Lauda by 6 clear points, with Keke Rosberg third, Elio De Angelis and Derek Warwick fourth equal, Riccardo Patrese and Eddie Cheever sixth equal. And for the Constructors' Championship, McLaren lead by a country mile.
Derek, a great drive. You came in twice for tyres, and I suspect you had more problems that we know about.
Yes, we started the race on 10s to try and go the full distance, but it didn't work. We pitted for tyres, and the car was going really well. We worked our way up from 9th back up to 3rd again, then got a puncture on the right rear, which dropped us right down, come in for tyres again, and then when I went out, unfortunately I lost my clutch, so I had to drive the last 25 laps with no clutch.
Who was hardest to get past?
Well, I had a fantastic race with Keke at the start. He was quicker than me on the straight, but I was a lot quicker than him in the corners, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was no dirty stuff, and we were just nose to tail the whole way.
Now, you led for a long time and could well have won in Brazil. You finished third here. You must be very happy with your change. Extremely happy. The car's working very well. The tyres are fantastic. And I think in Zolder, we've got a few new things coming. Should be very good. All right, well, off you go to Zolder now. What do you think of your chances there? I think they're good. We're testing next Tuesday, Wednesday there, and that sort of circuit will suit our car very, very well. Well done. Congratulations from all of us, and we look forward to seeing you at the top of the rostrum next. Thank you, Murray.